Dear Petr, dear journalists, dear attendees, today we welcome to Ukraine the President of the Czech Republic, our true friend, a friend of Ukraine. The Czech Republic and Mr. President personally have walked a long path with us throughout these years of the full-scale war. And there are things that have helped us a lot. There are things that are helping us a great deal. In particular, it's the Czech artillery initiative that is working effectively. It will continue to work this year, and this is very important for us. We spoke about this today with Mr. President. Of course, we value all the political, economic, and humanitarian support from the Czech Republic and the Czech Republic's attention to what is happening here in Ukraine, first and foremost to our people. I informed Mr. President about the situation at the front as well as about our needs for the reconstruction of Ukraine. Petr has personally seen the conditions of this very harsh winter, in which Ukrainians have to restore normal essential services every day after Russian strikes. Each of these strikes on the energy sector, on our cities, speaks quite clearly about Russia's real interests and real intentions. They are interested in discord and the further destruction of Ukraine. That is precisely why diplomacy is stalling. That is why now, as before, all of us must stay focused on cooperation, stay together politically, all of us in Europe. And certainly all Europeans together with America. The Ukrainian team, despite everything, is actively working with representatives of the President of the United States of America. Meetings of our Ukrainian representatives in the United States will be scheduled these days. A Ukrainian delegation is on its way to the United States now, and we hope there will be more clarity both regarding the documents we have in fact already prepared with the American side and regarding Russia's response to all the diplomatic work that has been done and is being done. Today we discussed with Mr. President the overall situation in diplomacy and also our relations at the European level. What concerns the European Union and Ukraine, European programs and Ukraine. This year, initiatives that are extremely important for us should be launched. We expect that this will really support our state and all of us in Europe. In particular, there is a decision you know about, 90 billion euros for Ukraine for 2 years. And this is a fair decision. In fact, it is financing our defense and our recovery using Russian assets. Russia must pay for what it does. Accordingly, honest and fair mechanisms are needed for using these funds, the 90 billion allocated and the Russian assets frozen in Europe. And these mechanisms must genuinely work to strengthen us, to strengthen Ukraine and Ukrainians. There is a pan-European defense program, SAVE. We expect Ukraine's participation in the program to be substantial. We have already shown that we can make effective weapons together. Together with the Czech Republic, we can further increase this cooperation, primarily in the production of artillery and the production of drones, interceptor drones. It is important that our European partners provide a specific share in the SAVE program in their countries specifically for Ukraine. It is our country and our warriors who have the best expertise in Europe today regarding weapons and tactics that truly work. Our joint work with everyone in Europe must also remain active within the Pearl program, which allows us to purchase American weapons for our defense, including missiles for Patriots, missiles for NASAMS and more. We need a lot right now, and at the same time we need to develop truly effective and practical relations between Europe and the United States, with America. Only such practical cooperation can give a really important result. We expect that this year Europeans will be as active as they were last year. We also expect that our previous agreements on air defense and your country's connections around the world will help with our most urgent task, protection from daily Russian strikes. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. President. And on behalf of our entire state, as a sign of respect for you personally, for the Czech people, for the Czech Republic, and as a sign of gratitude, we would like to honor you with our state award. We commence the award ceremony by decree of the President of Ukraine, for a significant personal contribution to strengthening interstate cooperation, support for the state sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, Petr Pavel, President of the Czech Republic, is awarded the Order of Prince Yaroslav the Wise, First Class.
Address by the President of the Czech Republic.
Dear Mr. President, dear Volodymyr, it is a tremendous honor for me that I can visit Ukraine for the third time during my mandate and see firsthand how incredible your resilience, ingenuity, and flexibility are in the fight against Russian aggression. An aggression that by its duration has exceeded the length of the Second World War on the Eastern Front. An aggression that brings daily losses, material damage. And of course it creates many difficulties that your country will face for a long time. We thank you for the fact that we always have open conversations, and the core of each of my visits is the opportunity to speak with Mr. President, with the government, with the Prime Minister. And I can also visit other parts of Ukraine. During my first visit it was Dnipro, the second was Odessa, and the third is Lviv. In all regions there are some Czech traces. I am glad that the Czech Republic has been helping for a long time in Ukraine's reconstruction. Because it is also in our interest, not only a security interest, because Europe will be as safe as Ukraine is. We are also personally interested in good relations, both human and economic. That is why the Czech Republic has proactively and consistently been engaged in the ammunition initiative and supplies 50% of the ammunition to the armed forces of Ukraine. And I am glad that the current government has continued this initiative. We will be able to provide approximately the same amount of ammunition as before, so that the armed forces of Ukraine do not suffer from shortages and do not get caught out, and are in a better situation than before. I am glad that we are participating in assistance. That is partly connected with supporting certain infrastructure institutions, and also mental health. Yesterday during my visit to Lviv I had the honor to visit a veterans hospital and a children's hospital. And in some programs the Czech Republic has been active for a long time, and we plan to continue this within the European Mechanism Ukraine facility, which makes it possible to modernize Ukrainian hospitals. This activity is not only very meaningful because it helps many people, but at the same time it is an acceptable form of assistance for those who do not feel that other aid is their priority. I see a great opportunity in the fact that we should not view assistance to Ukraine as one-sided, but as mutually beneficial cooperation. we will certainly look for new ways. How to expand our cooperation in the energy sector, for example water purification, and cutting-edge technologies. Because today Ukraine can teach and enrich not only the Czech Republic and Europe. For Ukraine and for us fortunately, for you unfortunately, we did not need to gain this experience in such a difficult way. And I am grateful that Ukraine is ready to share with us this painfully gained experience. I would like to wish not only Mr. President Zelenskyy, but also the entire Ukrainian people to endure. And I am sure that the efforts that you, and President Zelenskyy personally, are making, will in the near term lead to a united position of the United States and Europe in joint peace negotiations. And that it will be possible to create joint pressure on Russia so that it finally begins negotiations. So far we see this will only on Ukraine's side, and so far not even signs of will from Russia. And we must continue to support Ukraine, and at the same time continue to put economic pressure on Russia. I cannot imagine this conflict continuing further, because it has not only catastrophic results, but also requires a great, enormous amount of resources and energy that could be directed to better things, such as reconstruction or an ordinary normal way of life. A life we would like to live together. Thank you again, I am keeping my fingers crossed. Glory to Ukraine.
Thank you. Sofia Nazarenko, Channel 24. Mr. President, I have a question for you about the meetings in Davos. Do you expect to sign the prosperity package during these meetings? And also, when can Ukraine expect and receive the first inflows, the first tranches, within this program? Thank you.
Within the program, do you mean the tranches of the 90 billion, right? 800 billion, the prosperity package. We are currently working on 2 documents. The team has gone to the United States of America, as I said in my statement, specifically to finalize some materials concerning security guarantees and the prosperity package. If everything is finalized and if there is acceptance from the American side, because from our side, in general, I believe we have finished, then it may be possible to sign during Davos. The point is not to urgently sign today. It is important that all the aspects we discussed with partners are included so that Ukraine is not left naked and barefoot after the war, so that we have real financial support. This is what we are working on. As for the amount for reconstruction, of course, if we are talking about tranches allocated by the European Commission, they are allocated, as you know, for weapons during the war. If the war ends or when it ends, we will automatically be able to use that money for reconstruction. And as for what we need, our major request, of course, will be financed only after the war. Good afternoon, Martin Dorozin, Czech Radio. A question for President Zelenskyy and for the Czech President. This is a catastrophic situation in Ukrainian energy after Russian attacks. An energy Ramstein is being prepared. What specific help does Ukraine expect from its Western partners? And what can the Czech Republic do here? Thank you for your question. Probably today I can say it. Sometimes you want to speak frankly, but the situation does not allow it. For example, until this morning we had several systems without missiles. And today I can speak about it frankly because today I have these missiles. So what do you think an energy Rammstein is needed for if I have to fight for every package of missiles from European countries and America? We cannot blame America alone here because we are talking about all the other systems that protect our energy sector in our state. The issue is not only the Patriot systems, which there will never be enough of. Ukraine has many different systems delivered during the war, many different systems. What is needed are constant packages of missiles. And today, thank God, in the morning we received a serious package. It is now in Ukraine, I can talk about it. But it is achieved at such a cost. With blood, with people's lives, and so on. Fighting for packages when you understand how much is in stock, in which country, how much of all this exists, that it is lying there. But there is domestic legislation, of course, that limits releasing it. You understand that a minimum in one country or another must remain in warehouses. But what rules, honestly? What laws, honestly? If we have a war, we really need it. And in some countries, thank God, there is no war, and you fight for all these missiles for different air defense systems, short range, medium range, and so on. You just fight them out by force. So an energy Rammstein is, in general, a platform where it is necessary to agree on continuation. Because what is coming in does not mean that tomorrow winter ends and does not mean that tomorrow the enemy stops bombing us. In my view, Ukraine needs to be respected. It needs to be respected because words like strong people of Ukraine are not enough. It's not enough. People are strong. But they hold on the same way every warrior at the front holds on, and we need to provide the maximum and protect this strong people, in my view. Therefore, from Rammstein we expect rapid deliveries of what our partners have.
From the perspective of the Czech Republic, I would like to make a note regarding defense, as Mr. President mentioned. In the near term, the Czech Republic cannot provide such things. As medium aircraft that are very effective against drones. And I hope we will be able to resolve this issue. At the same time, we can provide and we do provide early warning means. These are passive systems or the newest means that can complement systems from the defense perspective. The Czech Republic has previously provided generators for the energy sector and cogeneration units that allow us to partially compensate for the lack of heat and reduce the consequences of attacks by the Russian Federation on the civilian population. It is clear that Russia is determined to break the ability to defend itself, using the current frosts as well.
Next question is from Noviny Live.
Helena Astapovitz, Noviny Live. Mr. President, I have a question for you about energy. Can you say how serious the damage is that Ukrainian energy has received as a result of Russia's brutal strikes? Is it true that all our power plants have been destroyed? Perhaps you can name a figure. How many gigawatts the Ukrainian energy system has lost due to these strikes? And a question to the President of the Czech Republic. First of all, we are grateful for your support. How else can the Czech Republic join in overcoming the current energy challenges in Ukraine under such harsh strikes from Russia? Thank you.
Restoration is underway after every strike. I think you know very well we have a large number of teams. I am very grateful to them, but they cannot do everything themselves. This is comprehensive protection and comprehensive work. This is needed daily. Everything is working: air defense, mobile fire groups, interceptor systems, and much else, besides aviation, which works or does not work depending on weather conditions. We understand that. And sometimes we use our helicopter teams, sometimes we cannot because of certain conditions and very low temperatures. So this is comprehensive protection and, of course, restoration is underway on a daily basis. There is daily restoration not only of stations but also the ability to increase imports, technical capabilities, which are also being destroyed in daily attacks by the Russians. They know what they are doing. And thank God, ours also know what they are doing. Yesterday consumption was high. It was, I think, 18 gigawatts of consumption, and we had capabilities of 11 and something. That was the situation yesterday, but every day something is being restored. Specifically where it is being restored, I will not say, because as soon as someone says something about it or something appears somewhere on social media or Telegram, they strike there again and again. So you roughly understand the scale and these challenges.
As for the Czech Republic, I have just answered this a little. In addition, from the defense perspective or addressing consequences, we can help through Czech companies that work in the energy sector. One of the biggest investors is the company K&D, which is engaged in gas extraction and the construction of energy facilities. Regarding Ukraine's capabilities, how to address consequences. If it is possible to supply mobile generators, mobile boiler houses, then in that situation we will be able to find quick emergency solutions.
Last question from Czech Radio.
Czech television. Mr. President Zelensky, the French President Macron and Giorgia Meloni often mention that it is necessary to restore dialogue with Russia. How do you perceive this in the context of Donald Trump recently saying that you are an obstacle to peace negotiations? And who could be this negotiator from the EU with Russia? Mr. President Pavel, you spoke with the Ukrainian president regarding the points that Ukraine demands in negotiations. How realistic is it that Russia would agree to them?
I believe that Ukraine has the initiative in negotiations. I believe we are faster than Russia in this. I believe we worked very well with the American side. We are simply not on the same side on some issues. Everything is clear. I am defending the interests of our state. And ultimatums, in my view, are a non-working model in democratic relations between countries. We must clearly know that the war will not restart again immediately in a month, 2, 3, or after President Trump's term ends. Security guarantees must be effective. There must be faith, first and foremost among the Ukrainian people, not any world leader. But just people who believe and who understand security guarantees much better than most defense ministers in the world because of this war. Just ordinary people because they already understand what missiles are, what the sound of a shard is, what happens, what to hide from and when, what is lacking, how to live without electricity, excuse me. And therefore there is an absolutely experienced, unfortunately because of the war, people who want to have clear security guarantees and believe in them. It seems to me this is number one. Number two, ending the war is what we really need. We really want it, but ending the war is the first step, and then there will be reconstruction, and then we have a million-strong army. We need money to restore the army, we need money so that this army remains, so that we have 800,000. These are not just words, these are specific funds, a specific amount for specific years. And there will be no such money in Ukraine's budget, because we will be reconstructing Ukraine. And if there are no clear reconstruction funds, then Ukraine will take everything for reconstruction from its own budget, which means then we will have to choose a large strong army or a quick reconstruction. Ukraine deserves to be reconstructed quickly. This requires funding. And likewise to preserve the most important security guarantee, our army. That's it. It seems to me that these are strategically important things. And in general, it is clear that the United States of America wants to end the war tomorrow. And we want to do it today. We are interested, both sides, in doing it faster, and we understand that delaying the signing and ending of the war comes from Russia. A very simple example, the simplest one. At the end of last year there were agreements regarding the exchange of our people, prisoners of war. To exchange 1,000 people. What is the problem? What is the delay from the Ukrainian side? Who is holding Ukrainians captive? Us? Russia? Why are they not exchanging? Does the United States of America have an answer to this question? No, because there are some questions that are uncomfortable, but they are absolutely fair. Russia drags out all processes, starting with the humanitarian track. Let's exchange 1,000 people, postponed. Let's exchange at least 500, postponed. Let's exchange everyone for everyone, this is part of the 20 points, postponed. So who postpones? Who doesn't want to end the war? The issue is not desire, the issue is pressure. We need enough pressure on Russia and everything will be over. I think we're very close to that.
Unfortunately, it is a sad fact that without the United States there will be no solution for the war in Ukraine. And this is painful for Europe, that still the key role is played by the United States. But this does not mean that Europe and European countries, whether in the European Union or others, should be aside from these efforts. This is about European security and the future. And Europe must take greater responsibility for European security, including resolving the situation in Ukraine. And this applies to the Czech Republic as well. I am convinced that this situation should be a sufficient warning. A sufficient warning that we absolutely cannot continue in further European self-reliance in defense matters. Some problems we face we must be able to solve without the United States, with an understanding of responsibility for our future. We talked about the content of those documents with Mr. President. I believe that Ukraine has done a great deal on the path so that the proposed solution is acceptable. I believe there are also a number of painful compromises that Ukraine has to make and is ready to make, provided that it leads to peace. And we must do everything possible so that all the work that was done in preparing these documents is not in vain. Because Russia will immediately reject it. And Russia will keep rejecting it until we start applying pressure together. And what can that pressure be today? First of all, economic and political. But we must work in a coordinated way, including with the United States. We should not compete over who has greater weight. Europe has a priority interest, but it is also in the interests of the United States that calm comes, because there is more than enough instability in the world. And if the United States stop caring about Europe's problems, we will be left either without weapons, or we will not be ready to solve future problems without outside help.
Thank you. This concludes the press conference. Thank you.